Right, guys. Hello, and welcome to another late night lock-in. I am bang up for this one on the eve of Derby Day. Yes, tomorrow we face the noisy neighbours. Now, there are going to be some words that are banned from the comments on tonight's live show. There's going to be words that are banned from the show in general. And I can tell you those words are champions and league. We don't give a shit anymore. Yeah. It's just gone. It's out of the vocabulary. We don't care. Joe, how are you feeling going into this?
Oh, I'm feeling. Do you know what the problem is? Okay, because I was in like a really nice mood before we played that friendly during the week against that German team, and then that obviously didn't turn out the way we hoped it would. But it was only friendly, so it doesn't matter anyway. But now I'm trying to make myself less positive and more negative, because then that means this actual game will be important and we'll win it. As you can tell, Man United, it's all about me.
Yeah, I do actually think, I don't know if my internet is really bad for everyone, but I've just had a look on the stream and my picture looks abysmal, so hopefully that's going to pick up. Can you still hear me, though? Can you hear me all right?
I can still hear you. You just kind of sound like a robot who's malfunctioning, but I can hear everything you're saying.
My internet is usually fine. I don't quite know what's going on with this, so hopefully it will fix itself. If it doesn't, I'll hand over to Joe and do a restart. Joe, if it gets really bad, just let me know.
Yeah,
and I'll hand over to do a restart. But whilst we're on it, should we just get our guest in and then we can have a free-for-all?
Let's go for it.
Let's do it. Guys, stick a like on this. Get involved in the comments as well. We've got two great guests. Let's go in order to start with. We had to get Phil on at some point. If you don't follow him, I'm probably butchering his app, by the way, but that's how I've always said it. Phil Brown is great entertainment and he knows his shit, which is why we love the fact that he comes on this channel. Phil, how you doing, mate? Love to the family. How are you? How is everyone?
Yes, mate, all good. Thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure. And yeah, it's always great to come on, lads. So thanks for having me.
I don't know what it says. I don't know what it says, by the way, Phil. The fact that the one show that I get you on, my internet messes up, so you can't really see my face that well, which it clearly shows that the elements are against us.
I think it's evidence that you're visiting websites you shouldn't be, Ben.
But they said the pills work, and I've not seen the impact yet. Go on, Joe. What was you going to ask?
I would say it's not much of an ask. It's more of just a statement. Like, honestly, if you can't talk anymore, I'm just going to be quiet and let Phil speak for the entire hour. Like, you could read the dictionary. I absolutely adore that.
Joe, let's get Mark in. You take over for 2 minutes. I'm going to do a restart. Mark, let's get you in, mate. Joe's going to ask you some questions. You've got we do a plan for this show because we're prepared. I'm going to jump out, Joe. You take over for a moment.
Yeah, that is no problem whatsoever. I really, really wish I read the plan now, but hey, look, we're in the hot seat. This is where we go. Obviously, guys, we didn't have the greatest week so far. We said we wouldn't mention the Champions League word, but unfortunately, it's hard to really get around it. And we're going into this game tomorrow now. I have actually looked up because, of course, I have my quiz coming up later on, which the two guys will be taking part in and stuff like that. But I was looking into head-to-head, and we actually, over the last couple of seasons, we have been kind of given City to 1-4. Like, we've had a fairly kind of good record against them. Do you think that will come into play in a positive way, or do you think that just doesn't matter now? Phil, we'll go to you first.
I think it doesn't really matter, to be honest, for a number of reasons. I think that when United have played City in the past, there's been different questions asked. When they beat them at Old Trafford last season, I think it was Bruno Fernandes's first game or something, or thereabouts, or second game, I can't remember. They were riding, obviously, they had the momentum from Fernandes coming in, and you know, and they were in that rich vein of form where they started from Spurs in December or January. So I think it's different this time. But look, here's the thing: Solskjaer is no longer in the territory, and I've been a massive defender of his. Right, but he's no longer in the territory of I need time. He's got time, right? Yeah. This is one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You don't turn down Real Madrid and Barcelona after spending a couple $100 million in your third season. I know he didn't really have, you know, it was his second half season. You can't ask for more time. And here's the thing for me with Solskjaer: if he doesn't make it, if he gets sacked, he has to go with Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward has been at this football club since 2013, right?
Yeah.
Now, Solskjaer just done a press conference today saying that we need to learn, right, to get out of a group. This is a football club these people took over in 2013 that were league champions.
Yeah.
What are Manchester United now? They're a football club that barely scrapes into the Champions League, and when they do, they have to learn how to get out of a group stage. That's what you've accomplished, spending $1 billion in 8 years at the football club. Yeah. What was unthinkable, a football club, 2013 was unthinkable that it wouldn't qualify for the Champions League. And here we are telling us, we need more time. Why would any Manchester United fan give these people more time? What have they done in 8 years that suggests you're entitled to my patience?
Yeah.
When are you going to hold yourself accountable for instance?
Yeah.
Solskjaer might get sacked, but why doesn't the people above him also go with him? They picked him. They picked the guy before that, and they picked the guy before that. Why don't they go?
Because they write the checks. That's the problem. Football, Sorry.
Unfortunately, Ed Woodward makes some money, so he's not going to go.
Yeah,
and the Glazers aren't going anywhere.
Okay, so what does that tell you about Manchester United and what they value and what their goals are? Right.
Jesus. Well, thanks for depressing us, Phil. Okay, guys, I kind of feel like just listening to some Billie Holiday and getting a bottle of whiskey now, to be honest. I think that's the only way to, But Mark, we'll go to you. Okay, cheer us up a little bit. How do you expect us to go in to play this game tomorrow? We were discussing a little bit beforehand. Are you expecting more negative, the same as against Leipzig, or do you think we're actually going to try in the front foot?
Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult one. I mean, you never really know with Ollie. I think obviously he likes to play his 4-1-2-3-1, but ultimately, I really couldn't tell you. I mean, City are not in a great shape, really. I mean, they've started to hit a run of form in the last few games, but they're not particularly in a great position either. So I think we've seen with Ollie and how we set up before. He has got a good record against the big teams. So we do have that on our side. Unfortunately, records are there to be broken. Things are there to go against the grain. So I feel like he will set up with 2 holding midfielders again, which does stagnate our press going forward, which I've said to you many times. Our progressive football and getting the ball forward is not great with 2 defensive midfielders. But I think that's what he'll do. I think he doesn't have enough trust in his defence, so he wants to have 2 in front of them to shore it up. And I think that's probably gonna go against us. I hope not. I'd like to be confident in these games, and I do feel that we're at a good stage. Well, Man City aren't at a great stage, and I think that they could potentially be there for the taking. But we'll have to wait and see until 5:30 tomorrow, and how quickly we start. We need to start well, and that's what we've struggled with in the last few weeks. So who knows?
We discussed that the other night on the post-match reaction, and the post-match reaction of the Leipzig game. It is this constant fucking thing of us taking 25 minutes or at least to go a goal down before we remember what being a footballer is all about. For you, Phil, what do you think? Why is that? There's a few theories going around, but why does it take us to go a goal down or to just wait until the second half before we decide to play football?
It's just mental application and professionalism, as simple as that. You go into any... It reminds me of a boxer walking into a ring and fighting in the first round with his hands down. You have to be mentally present I hate to use this example. It's not great because he come on and scored 2 goals. But remember when Cavani's coming on at half time, he does change his boots and they're not ready. That to me, how you start a game, to me is indicative of how you leave a dressing room, right? So I don't believe if you're a professional football team, you start a game with intensity. Okay, United always react to situations. They don't create situations. They'll wait to see what do we have to do to win. Right, instead of taking control, and this is to me reminiscent of someone that does the bare minimum to win. Right, so. That's why I do my job. I do the bare minimum that I get away with without getting sacked, right? But I'm not a professional football athlete, right? So, and most of us are riding that precipice. I don't want to do an extra bit of work that I don't have to do because, But this is so that's about the environment at the football club that demands. If you're at Liverpool, for example, I hate to use this example. If you start a game slowly, you've got 10 other players that are going to bollock you. right? You've got a manager that's going to bollock you. You're going to be made aware immediately that is completely unacceptable, that you cannot do that. But that doesn't happen in United. There's no consequence for failure. None. Right? Because Manchester United don't place, we talked about this in a lot just recently about Woodward and the value that's placed on Woodward. Manchester United Football Club don't place value on football players based on what they do on the pitch. They place a value on a football player based on their commercial value. We've seen this over and over and over again. We've seen it with Wayne Rooney getting a new contract when he should have been booted out. The reason why I got a new contract was because he was the most requested player from sponsors, because he was their only superstar. Now you have a situation with Paul Pogba. Now United, Solskjaer's wanted rid of Paul Pogba for a long time, right? Yeah. And but his authority is going to be completely undermined by people who want to maximize his value, his resale value, right? In other words, if you have a boss who's completely impotent and can't sack you, you have no respect for them, especially when they're asking you to do things you don't want to do, because there's no consequence to it. You've got players that have got contracts at Manchester United, Phil Jones, Mark Rowe. What a disgrace. By what metric have they been successful and deserve a new contract? But what message does that send to your employees? That's really not about what you do on the pitch. And so that's the problem, lads. There's no, if you're under Fergie, and I talked about a power grab, right? So Fergie had the power to get rid of anyone he wanted, right? Because he was Fergie, right? Yeah. Whether it cost you commercially or not. And even then, they tried to bite back on a little bit. He still got his way. That don't happen anymore. You know, football clubs that do this, to take the recruitment away from the manager and turn them into coaches, right? Yeah. It's very, very difficult to be successful. But you can be successful if from the top down, they are as a football club, and they, you know, you've got a sporting director or whatever that understands football, understands dressing room, and says, look, I know we're going to take a financial hit, but this guy has to go. If you have serious football ambitions, but think about it from the Glazers' perspective, lads, right? If you go to the Glazer family and say, hey, if we sell Paul Pogba, it's going to be great for the football team in January and or whatever. Better he stays and we'll sell him in the summer. Well, actually, that's going to cost us 20 million. Let's sell him now, or don't sell him, or get him, whatever. Right? The answer to the question will always be, what's the best? How does it benefit United the best financially? And that's what they'll do.
That is like, Jesus Christ, yes. I remember it's always been about that. And it's not just us. Because back in the day, even we're going back as maybe 15 years ago, the manager was everything went through him. No matter what happened, they had the final say on everything. Obviously, Ferguson and the likes of that were like next level, where they could literally do what they wanted effectively. You're only looking in the Premier League now. I'd say Klopp and Guardiola are the only managers who can kind of say and do whatever they want. And Mark, I was discussing this, and I'm trying to avoid discussing Pogba, but like, it's impossible to do this. I was coming back from football just there about an hour ago with my brother, and he said if Solskjaer had any balls, he should have not even had Pogba on the bench against Leipzig, to put out a message of being like, I am the main man. Do you think that was even an option for him, or do you even think that could happen? That question.
Yeah, I think with Paul Pogba, he's still, regardless of what's happened, he's still one of our best players. Yeah. And I know that obviously he hasn't been consistent enough, but he still is a game changer at times. And we've seen that in the last couple of games. He's come on and played very well. I don't think it's really in Ollie's hands, to be honest with you. I think, you know, it's been an awful thing that's come out and has been said, and ultimately, you know, perhaps Solskjaer should have said something, but it's not always he's not gonna upset the apple cart.
We're just discussing you, Ben.
Is it working now? Can you actually hear me?
It looks much better now.
I thought you were frozen there for like as soon as you came in.
I feel so rude for interrupting you, mate. Carry on where you were.
No, I was just saying that Ollie's not going to upset the apple cart. He knows the situation. For me, with Pogba, I feel United aren't stupid, and they probably are very much aware of the situation, and I feel that it could work into their hands. I feel like he's probably lost some of his value, and it might have been, you know, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. And now looking at it, if we'd have sold him when Real Madrid were calling, we would have got a lot of money for him. But you people commit, people change, and unfortunately, we're in the position that we are. But I feel like United are not stupid; they know the situation. If anything, I feel that with the silver lining, it's probably brought a bit of interest in him, and even though that he's only got a year and a half left on his contract, it might mean that the clubs are going to come in. They know that he's available, so they might go for him. So it is a frustrating thing. He shouldn't have said what he said. And I think Ollie is, as I said, he's not going to upset the apple cart. So unfortunately, he's not going to come out and completely lambast him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I've always said about Paul Pogba as well that I'm just so worried you guys can't hear me now. Like whenever I talk, when you have internet problems and it's like, oh my God, this is going to follow me. With Pogba, I just feel like with him, as soon as the team starts to get the best out of him, as soon as we improve our weak areas, we'll be sat here having a conversation going, how good would Paul Pogba have been in this Man United team? You just know that's going to be the conversation that's had as and when that time happens. And look, we all want our players to embrace our club like we would embrace our club if we were on the pitch. But we can say that from board level down. Like, I wish someone who is as big a fan as I am, someone who cares as much as I do about the football club, was in control of the football club. Doesn't happen, does it?
Ben, I would say don't get Phil going again on that, because we're all about to just like go on suicide watch after he went on a bit of a rant on it. So like,
Phil's spot on when he's talking about United hierarchy. What people don't understand, I've known Phil now for a number of years, and he has worked closely with United, really closely with United over the years. Alongside being such a passionate Manchester United fan, the fact Phil is talking like he is now about certain, I don't want to say certain people, but certain decisions that are being made, and in general about the hierarchy at United, unless you followed Phil for a long time and you followed what he said for a long time, you will not know how much that actually means. And that's my view on it. And I think that comes from such a place of passion with Phil, and he is absolutely spot on with what he's saying. Because also Phil has backed, Phil, I'll be right saying, you've also backed people and you've backed the hierarchy before. So the fact that now you're talking, I don't want to get you back onto it, but the fact that now also you're saying stuff and the stuff you're saying, it shows the turn of the tide slightly, doesn't it? It shows that what happens when there's, so to speak, a rot that continues rotting for so long and promises don't get fulfilled.
Well, I have to be honest, man. I never backed them because since 2000, even prior to this takeover happening, I was vehemently against it for obvious reasons. I mean,
not them. I'm on about like people on the board.
Well, I mean, look, just what I would say is that I wouldn't go after them personally, right? I'm professionally fine. Like, I know some of these people, and they're not bad people. I mean, I've sat in Ed Woodward's company a couple of times. He's actually a really nice guy. We've had lunch, we've had beers together. He's a really nice guy. I don't know if he'll be doing that anytime soon after most of my recent comments, but anyway.
But Phil, I think people forget that nothing, like when we talk about football players, it's not personal. Like when we talk about other clubs, even like sometimes, unless you're Neil and he fucking hates Leeds, it's not personal. Like we all just have an opinion, and an opinion is based upon what we see and what we hear and what we feel.
Well, there's a couple of things here, man. First of all, there's other people that work at United that are just wonderful human beings, right? Phil Townsend, who's now over at UEFA, is a very, very close friend of mine, very amazing human being, right? And his replacement, Charlie, is I really, really like him. Great guy. And we argue a piece out, we fight on direct message on Twitter over my comments and everything, and but he knows that I am what I am. I'm an old school United fan, right? I totally understand that he's an employee, so he's looking at it from a completely different perspective. He's friends with it, all that. Maybe I would be the same way if I was in his position. But there's an important point there that we look at this from two different perspectives, right? So we determine success in a completely different way, right? I mean, we don't want to beat a dead horse here, but the Glazers look at Manchester United purely for profit perspective. And if you turned around to the Glazers, if they turned around, this is why they want closed leagues that resemble America and everything. There's no promotion and relegation. Every business person whose goal is profit only does everything they can to remove risk. Right? Risk is relegation. Risk is the punishment for failure. Risk is making sure you implement FFP so you don't have to match silly prices that are being paid by all these oligarchs and everything else. So United are exactly what you would expect to see in a business. Like let's just use Holland, for example, or Regulon, right? These are players that United were interested in, but refused to buy them because they were already thinking about selling them before they bought them. Right, so we're turning around and saying, and I had this argument with United over this whole thing, where the buyout clauses were the reason why. So let's say Holland has a £75 million buyout clause, which he has at Dortmund, right, and it activates after a few years. But in those few years, Holland scores 150 goals. Now imagine United decided not to buy Ronaldo because Mendes wanted to put an 80 million buyout clause in his contract, right? And the United said, you know what? No thanks, George. Right? I mean, imagine this. What are you going to do? Celebrate that the Glazers kept their money in their pocket? You know, what are you going to do? There's a reason why I don't stand outside the bank with a scarf cheering on the bank. I don't care how much money they make. I'm a football fan. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to celebrate the 150 goals that Holland scores that takes United possibly to winning one of those semi-finals and finals. That creates memories. That creates a happiness in the present moment that can't be accomplished by saving money. Right? Mm-hmm. Saving money for what alternative? So Darcy can go shopping? I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't understand United fans on social media saying, this is really smart. Well, it is if you're an investor. It is if you're one of the Glazers. But if you're United fan, it isn't. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so I never understand how money men have convinced football fans to be supporters of them because they're the direct enemy of Manchester United.
Yeah, I always wonder if it's money men or if it's FIFA.
Well, here's the thing, mate, right? Look at the Glazers' dividends. That would have bought Sancho. The difference between and didn't pay. That would have bought Sancho. One thing that's secret, because we were told about this new financial reality. We were told about this new financial reality of football that didn't hit the Glazers, didn't hit their dividends. But so this football club has a serious problem, and it doesn't have Fergie to bridge the genius anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So now all the rank and competence that infest the football club is exposed, and you get people like Ed Woodward who masters the ability of saying nothing. We remain committed to supporting the manager. What the fuck does that mean? The fucking janitor remains committed to cleaning the floor. Thanks, mate. That's your job. I am not impressed that you remain committed to supporting the manager you hired. You're being paid $4 million a year for that. I would hope you're committed. What does that even mean? Look at the transfer window. Did they buy like a football club that took the Champions League seriously? I think so. Did they buy like a club that was interested in closing the gap? Did they buy like a club that's hurting that Liverpool just won a league and a European Cup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone said that on TalkSport actually the other day that I was watching when they were talking about Manchester United in the transfer windows. They said, when was the last time you actually saw United in a window actually go out and get the job in hand done in a window and actually buy who they needed to, buy the players that they needed to? And we haven't. We've seen us go, but we've got a long-term plan. We've been in a long-term plan for 6 fucking years. Like, come on. To be honest, Phil, we could continue this, but you're just going to talk the whole way through the week. So I actually do want to talk a little bit about Joe. We've spoken about the derby. We've spoken about Nerda tomorrow.
Yeah,
where are we at?
We spoke a bit about the derby, and then Phil went on an amazing monologue, and then
should have warned you about him, shouldn't I?
No, it's great. It is absolutely amazing. I don't get, like I said, you can read the dictionary, Phil, and I'd be invested.
These are magic,
mate. They sound incredible. Do you know what we'll do? We'll do the My First United feature. We'll do the My First United feature, and then we'll jump into talking about Derby Day. because we're so excited about that. So let's do that. So basically, Joe's going to get 60 seconds on the stopwatch. Guys, if you want to get involved in the live chat, please do. What I'm going to do is go to Mark and Phil one by one and ask them about their first Manchester United experiences, which I cannot wait. Which it's going to be a good one, this. I think this is going to be a good one this week. What I love is like when we're talking to the likes of Roy Kavanagh and we also had John Stilcon at the start, and we asked them about their first United game. And they were like telling us when it was, and we were like, hello, how long ago was that? So we're looking forward to some of these ones. Joe, tell me when you're ready, and I'll get the questions to the lads.
3, 2, 1, go.
Right, Mark, we start with you. Can you remember the first big marquee Manchester United signing that you can remember?
Eric Cantona.
Phil, what about you?
Mark Hughes when he returned from Barcelona.
Mark, what about your first Manchester United game that you saw live?
I went to see Villa on New Year's Day in 1997. I went to Old Trafford against Villa, and it was 0-0 ball draw.
Oh, love, what a first experience. Phil, what about you?
First time I was Old Trafford, 1981, United Arsenal. Drew one each, Rocastle, Chip Schmeichel, ball hit him off the head, and then Steve Bruce equalised. It was amazing.
At least you had a goal to celebrate. At least you had a goal to celebrate.
I'll just never forget my eyes when I walked into Old Trafford. Every kid remembers this the first time. I was mesmerised. It was incredible.
Well, talking about goals, Mark, can you remember your first memorable goal, like something that will stay with you forever? It doesn't mean that you have to see, like, might have seen it on the telly, but most memorable goal that first comes to mind.
I think I can remember a few more, but the first memorable one was against Liverpool in the FA Cup. Eric Cantona again, that volley. I think that was my first memorable one.
Dropped that like a peach. What about you, Phil? Wonder goals we're thinking about here. Like I said, the Eric Cantona strike, Rooney overhead kick. What's the first one you can remember?
There's been so many, but I think I have to look at Whiteside 85 FA Cup final when he scored against Everton, and it was weird. It was obviously growing up in madness in Belfast. It was the first time I ever cried with joy watching a football game. And my two brothers were Liverpool fanatics, so it felt great to win. Something as a United fan, I still remember watching that game as clear as day how I felt when Whiteside scored.
I know that's probably time, but I just want to do one more because I'm really intrigued on this one. Mark, what was your first United kit?
I think it was the first one, the one after the laces between 94 and 96 was sharp. The one after the laces in 94.
Away or home?
Home.
Phil, what about you? First United kit?
I think I was 7. That's when I was about tall enough to reach my neighbour's washing line and nick one. I was about 6 or 7.
I love that. Can you remember which one it was?
I was the one. It was the white one, 83. Still have it. I have it framed actually, so but it's back in Belfast. So it was the white one, 83. You go back watch 83 United Arsenal Whiteside squared. You'll see it. Amazing.
What memories those were. Joe, before you ask the guys one question about their first United experiences, Connor, my first game live, just rubbing it into Mark, the fact that not just a goal, but a beautiful goal. His first game live, Newcastle 2005. Rooney scored that volley. And the Stretford end. It wasn't a volley at Newcastle away, though.
No, it was at home.
He just had an argument with the ref, hadn't he?
Yes.
And then he went and smashed it in.
I actually saw that goal. Of course it was at Old Trafford. Yes, of course it was. I actually saw it. I was in, obviously not old enough to drink at that point. I was in a pub with my dad. And literally, we'd literally just walked in. I went with my dad every game. I was at the pub with him watching it when I was younger, and literally the place went mental, absolutely bonkers. It was some finish that. Go on, Joe. We'll go over to you to ask the guys some questions.
It's going to be the same question because I always like to come to this one that really stands out. But I actually have a fun kind of story about the 85 FA Cup final. I was watching highlights ages and ages ago, and obviously Kevin Moran was also the first person to be sent off in the FA Cup final that same game. But later on in the game, there is an hilarious interview with Kevin Moran and someone else, maybe it was Norman Whiteside, where they're being interviewed about the goal. And if you've seen that red card, it is like Moran tried to kill Peter Reid.
Yeah.
He absolutely tried to murder him. And they're going like, it was never a red card. It was a disgrace. And then Peter Reid is like walking behind. This is like back in the 80s where everything was going. And they called Peter Reid over. It's like, tell him. It's like, no, I told the ref that it wasn't a red card. And it was just like the magic of football back in the 80s when like you could just say what you want in an interview. It wasn't all the PR men and stuff like that. But it's a gas interview. You should check it out. But for both guys, it's always going to be, and Phil, I'll go to you first because you kind of touched on it before we kept going. When you first went to the stadium, obviously, Phil, you're not from England. So you had the same journey I did of I got a plane for the first time and I went over and walked into the stadium and the shiver going up through your spine. There's just nothing like it. And it's the same whenever I walk in, but especially that first time. But like of that day, what was your favorite memory of that day?
You know, for me, it was actually the first time I'd been in a hotel, and the whole experience getting we got the boat over to Scotland, drove all the way down, and I actually didn't tell my man that I was going. I was 16, and I was part of Carryduff Manchester United Supporters Club, and I think the whole trip cost about 80 quid, and it took me about 6 months to save up for it. And I got up. I don't even think my man dad noticed I was gone. But it was just.
She was like, I was just going to steal another Man United shirt off the shopping line down the road.
Sunday night, man. I was like, where were you? No, it was amazing. I mean, we went there and the whole, over to Scotland, sitting people I didn't know. I was a kid. And I was just a fanatical Manchester United fan. And this was always my dream, was to be able to go to a United game. And I mean, this is what sometimes when overseas fans take all sorts of grief that people don't understand. Every game is an away game for them. There's no home game for a fan that lives overseas, and the cost and the journey. People, if you live overseas, you don't just get to go home from a game. You don't get home for a day or two after. It is a whole different experience. And for me, it was just truly unbelievable to experience that, and the first time I walked inside Old Trafford to see the size of the stadium, the grass, everything, how close I was. Dennis Irwin was right there, left back. It was just incredible. And it's weird how your memory works. I remember everything from that whole weekend, and it was just something for me as a child, just an unbelievable experience. And there was an Arsenal fan actually sat in there, and he didn't come back out for the second half. But yeah, it was the noise when Steve Bruce scored the equaliser. Oh, incredible!
Obviously, that was back when there was terrace, when it was standing.
Terrace? No, that's terrible.
Sorry, I was trying to subtly get that in, Phil.
Do you know what?
Just because my father's a shoplifter, no need to say. I lifted 50 feet off the ground.
Do you know one thing that I picked up on? The first game that I went to, there's two things, because the first game I went to, my mum was with me as well, and she bumped into Curly Watts from Coronation Street on our way into the stadium. She was like, I wanted for Coronation. She bumped into Tyrone and everyone, and and I was just like, all right, mum, chill out. We're here to watch the lads. It's not about Coronation Street. And then my second thought was, as I got in there and I sat down, I looked at the players warming up and I was like, they're normal size. Like, they're not these giants. Like, they're normal people, like, running about on a football pitch. Couldn't believe how normal, like, size Paul Scholes was. Like, he's not like, he didn't look like an athlete. He wasn't, like, probably any taller than me that I was at, like, 16 when I went to my first United game. And I was like, he's just a normal person, but he's freaking brilliant. And he plays for the team I love. Like that. And that's one thing that I'll never forget. Just sat there watching and just being like, wow. Wow.
Yeah. But, Mark, when you went into the first game, what was I did actually hear the team that they were playing.
We played Villa. When Dwight York. It was on the 1st of January 97, and Dwight York was still with them, and it was a 0-0 ball.
And what happened? What is your outstanding memory of that game, or even of that day?
I mean, I went up with my my uncle. He's a massive Man United fan, and actually, he probably was the person to get me into football. And my dad's a massive Spurs fan, and he bought me a shirt. He bought me a shirt, which I did wear a couple of times, but I was I was changed to a Man United fan by my uncle. So I went up with him.
Good.
I think we went up on a coach. Obviously, I was only about 8 years old at the time, so it's a little bit vague for me. But went up on a coach with my auntie and a couple of other people, and it wasn't an incredible thing, really. I mean, obviously, we're all Man United fans. We're going to try and talk it up as much as we can, but it was a great experience. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest with you, living down south, I haven't been to Old Trafford too many times, and I know I'll get absolutely battered for that. But but it really was a great day, and even if it was 0-0, it was the whole experience going up. You know what I mean? And being 8 years old, it was quite breathtaking. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, I went to Old Trafford a couple of times before that on the for my birthday for the tours and that sort of thing. But that was the first match I watched.
Do you know what, Mark? I can sympathise with you. So I live down in Kent, and it cost me £160 to get out to Old Trafford for a match day. 160 quid, because the train's about 120, and then it's what, 60 quid a ticket.
Yeah,
it's not cheap. It's not cheap. You know, I try to get as many games as I can, and if you can get on the coach, perfect. But you can only take so many people on a coach from the supporters club down here. So 9 times out of 10, it's
now that I'm up in Birmingham, it would be a lot cheaper for me to get the train. So I'll be doing
you
that
could
a lot
walk
more.
that.
It would take me about a week, but yeah, I could walk that.
You've got Phil and Joe have to get on an airplane or a boat. You could walk from Birmingham to Manchester. Stop being so lazy.
I have to be slingshot.
Yes. Let's move on to Derby Day before we get onto the quiz, because that's on the way. So I don't know what we got up to with Derby Day. Joe, have we spoken about Pogba, whether he should start or not?
We haven't asked that question.
Right, let's ask it now. Joe, you first.
Yes, because he's playing to leave the club for whoever he's going to next, which means he always, when he always is doing that, that's when he always plays his best. So he's going to play his best. So I think so, unfortunately, because it's just more important that we win rather than our pride, I guess.
Phil, what do you think? Pogba, should he start?
Nope, because there's a bigger point here. First of all, I'm really unhappy with Solskjaer's timid response to Raiola. He should be skewering him, right?
Yeah.
It should be showing that he almost feels sorry for him. He's being bullied. I really don't understand why Solskjaer isn't skewering Raiola, and at the very least have some self-respect. If it's not about the club, I wouldn't let someone talk about me in public like that without issuing a response. There's no way. I mean, Solskjaer has to. Some of it's his theatre, right? You know, Mourinho was really good at this, and this is about also sending a message to the players that are at the club that there are certain things that you can't do. And if you go and do something like this, because what does it say to other players? What if they want to move? This is how Pogba got it. It's important. There's a punishment for that, because the football club, even if United lose the game on Saturday, the bigger picture is the players that are there, because that's really what it's about now. It's not about whether Pogba stays or goes. It's about a message to the players that are there that this is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. I changed my mind. I don't want him to play either now.
Mark?
Yeah, Phil has spoken. To be honest, no, on paper, no, absolutely not. He shouldn't. I think they do need to make a point. But as I said to you earlier, I feel that Ollie's not going to upset the apple cart. Ultimately, he's probably got people breathing down on him and saying, you know, we need to sell him. We need to get as much money as possible. Now, going on the last few games, he has come on and actually been very good. Our most liveliest player. So I think Ollie, you know, as a manager, he has to make the decision that if he has been playing well and he is fit enough and he is raring to go, then perhaps. I think he's certainly got a shout for starting this weekend, I think. And also, you know, he has turned up to games and played very well against City. So I think that would be the stage for him. So yeah, I think he might. I think it will certainly be in contention for sure.
Let us know in the live chat, guys, your thoughts. We've got a few points to talk over, so I'm going to move on from Pogba quickly. Joe, Ollie said Martial should feature tomorrow. He should be back. You've been his biggest critic so far this season, Joe. You've been disappointed with him, to say the very least. Yeah. So are you happy to see him back in the squad? Do you think he should be drafted straight back into the starting 11?
I did, like, my natural response when I saw that was like, I don't care. I want Cavani. You know, I want Cavani to play because he's a lot more intelligent footballer.
I think he's going to be fit, though.
That's what I mean. That's what the problem was. I'm looking at Martial. I'm like, he's not playing well. He's not just that's just it. His confidence is so low, and also now he's, even though it's a small injury, he's coming back from that. I guess he will be drafted in immediately. I can't, like, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to play. And Solskjaer has built his team with him as a number 9, so obviously that is his best formation, is with him there. And yeah, look, you need to play yourself out of a funk. Let's hope the small break he had will help him and let him get back to it, because we need him to be the player he was last season. Fucking now.
And let's not forget that little tie-up with Bruno Fernandes from that free kick for the first goal against City earlier on in the year. We could do with a little bit of magic like that. Phil, let me come over to you. You watch a lot of football. I've got 2 sort of questions merged into one for you here. A, what have your thoughts been on City so far this season? And B, are the 2 holding midfielders winning that midfield battle the way to beating them, do you think, tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I think this is probably the hardest season of Guardiola's career. It's the first time he's really been questioned as a coach. All his other, City, 2 seasons ago were just incredible, and so the City that we've seen, I know they're a bit like United in the sense that they're patchy. They've had a couple of decent games, but this is not as good a City team as what we saw 2 years ago. So. I think this is a big season for Guardiola, because if he doesn't win the league and doesn't win the European Cup, then it is right that he faces questions. No other manager continues to get away with failure. That is failure. Right now, all he's done is what Pellegrini's done and what Mancini's done at Man City. He's been no better. So still clearly an outstanding coach. As far as 2 defensive midfielders go, the thing that concerns me about United that you see is, and you see this quite often, is they don't press as a team. You'll have individual pressing, and you'll have all the players rooking around, shouting and screaming, and then you'll have players within 10 yards of the ball that are walking. If they do that against City, they'll get destroyed. So that is something that you see quite often. United, they'll get away with it against Southampton. They'll get away with it against West Ham or whatever. They'll not get away with it against City. They didn't get away with it against PSG. They have to press as a team, and so. So can we make the game ugly enough to where we can win it? Do we, we be talking about Martial? Martial is a true personification of United. If we want consistency, we can't pick inconsistent players. If you want consistency, you pick inconsistent players. That's what you get. So Martial has had a dreadful season. He's 25. Is he a better player today than when he signed? I don't know. The fact that we're in December, he hasn't scored a league goal, is unacceptable, completely unacceptable at this level. And so I think you can't trust him. So exceptional talent, brilliant player when things go right, but he's a type of player you can tell in the first 10 minutes what type of game he's going to have. So, but if only we had Sancho, if only we had Haaland, if only we had alternatives.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. Mark, you've been calling for this for quite a while now. I think Phil slightly hit on it there, the inconsistency. But the one thing that we are consistent with is starting games very poorly and very slowly. I know Phil says there you can spot with some players inside the first 10 minutes how they're going to perform. But I feel like with this United side at the moment, you can tell within the first 60 seconds what that first half's going to bring at the moment. If we play like that against City tomorrow, it could be 4-5-0 game over by half time, couldn't it? So how do we need to start the game? What do you want to see from the boys from the get-go?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been saying this for weeks. We need to start as we mean to go on and quickly and go at them. One thing I want to say about Martial is whilst he hasn't been scoring goals, I think people tend to forget that against PSG, for example, he was the one that set up Cavani's effort and a few others. Yeah. So what he brings obviously to the table, which Cavani doesn't, is hold up play. And I feel that if obviously Ollie's going to set up like that, then he could be a man to come on and do what he wants him to do. But yeah, I mean, I feel that really we want to play Matic as a single pivot, and then you want to play Pogba, Bruno, or Van der Beek as a 2 to progress the full forward. But I think that with Ollie, as we've seen time and time again, I think he's going to play very safe. He's not confident in his defence, and he will play 2 in front of the defence. And if you do that, I think you're already on the back foot, really. And I think that he will play a counter-attacking game. So it is a bit of a worry. But as I said, he's got a good record. And as I said to the boys earlier, it's there to be broken. But I really feel that that he will know this. He will know this going in. On the back of a defeat. Although saying that, our record after a European game isn't always the best. But hopefully it might work in our favour that they're really going to come out the traps and prove people wrong, because we're always in the limelight, we're always getting scrutinised. They'll see all of this, and hopefully they'll be able to come out and really start quickly. But you're absolutely right. That's what they need to do. They need to start as they mean to go on and really go at them. Because I feel at the moment City are very much there for the taking. They've started to gain a bit of form, as I said to the boys earlier. But at the moment, I feel that they are vulnerable, and this is a perfect opportunity to really go at them. So I hope that's what they do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And look, I don't mind us playing a counter-attacking football. I really don't. I don't mind us being on the back foot and playing counter-attacking football. I don't mind. But the problem is we can't do it because we can't soak up pressure. And when we do soak up pressure and we give away corners, we put the ball out for a throw-in, we don't know how to defend the corners. We don't know how to defend the throw-ins. So we can see goals from all angles. So the problem is if we can't soak up pressure and we can't play counter-attacking football, what's plan B? And that's where we struggle.
Well,
yeah, you're absolutely right.
Someone that hasn't been mentioned in this that needs to be mentioned is David De Gea. Because I'm concerned about David De Gea. He was poor again, in my opinion. He and Maguire are completely at fault for that third goal. Yeah. And David De Gea is someone that, to me, I used to have confidence in. Now I'm apprehensive that there's a mistake in him, that he's going to let something at the near post. He's good. I mean, at corners, a goalkeeper has to be vocal and organised. So does a centre back, of course. But how do you concede the same goal week after week? That is criminal. Surely, when you are as a defence after Southampton, you're getting a bollocking for conceding a goal like that you shouldn't be conceding, and that's a major focus for at least 2 days, 3 days of the week. How do you then go out and repeat it? I mean, that shouldn't be happening at this level. In what we saw away at Istanbul, unbelievable. I mean,
I agree.
Unbelievable. Even at Spurs, how easily they'd have got undone by doubling up over fullbacks because Rashford and Greenwood didn't chase back. Greenwood got punished for that. And so for me, I think David De Gea is a serious concern, and Dean Henderson needs to get a run.
I don't know if you guys have watched it back. I still can't tell, and I'll ban the words knee, but from this stream. But I still can't work out whether Harry Maguire got a shout then or not. And if he did get a shout, why isn't De Gea putting his body on the line to stop that? But then also, again, the question is, why didn't Harry Maguire just put it into Rose?
Well, exactly. This is what I said. I feel as our most supposedly our most commanding centre back. He didn't even need to communicate. He didn't even need to expect David De Gea to be there. He should have absolutely laced it. 100%. And I feel that he's more at fault.
I do completely agree, but then still, my question mark is the only reason for him to leave that is if his goalkeeper has shouted him, and that's where I'm so. And if De Gea has shouted him, that's a massive worry that he hasn't come out and done everything to stop that ball because it's just poor decision making. Before we get into the quiz, big part of the show, the quiz. I can't wait to see Mark and Phil pitched against each other. This is going to be fun. Joe, I hope you've got a gem lined up today, by the way. I want to ask you one question, and I don't like to preempt the result. I don't want to look further than the game. We criticise boxers for doing that, which, Phil, we've got to have an extra conversation about the AJ fight tomorrow, I think. Look, with the start City have had, with the start we've had, we're a point above them, we're a place above them. Joe, get a win tomorrow. Could we finish above City this season?
Absolutely, because this season is absolutely insane, and we don't know who will finish where. So, if we've never seen Guardiola be 5 years in with a team, I think it's the longest he's been at one club. We don't know how he'll deal when he doesn't have Messi as being the linchpin to bring him constant success, and when he's in a different league. So, I think anything's possible. I think that also City are putting all their eggs in the Champions League basket. Sorry, I said it, Ben. I'll put a fiver into the swear word.
Get out.
In this yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think they will sacrifice the league. I think they will, if they're in the latter stages, they will play kids in the Premier League, and because I don't think they give a shit, because they can win that whenever. They need the Champions League for people to believe that they're actually a real club.
Phil, have you seen enough this season to think that United could potentially finish above City?
If they do, it'll be because of City's failures, right? Yeah. Let's be honest. Right now, with United being knocked out of the Champions League, what you'd like to see happen is they use kids in the Europa League and take the advantage of not having to play in Europe in midweek and rest the squad. It's not what they'll do, because then, you know, Solskjaer desperate needs a trophy, but that's what you'd like to see them do, and they won't be confident of finishing in the top four and to get Champions League. So I don't believe it'll be because United are so relentlessly consistent that City can't catch them. It'll be because things have gone wrong at Man City, because United are going to win the league, let's be honest. And if City are not in second, right, they're finished below United, then I think that Guardiola could leave at that point. But because that would see that represents failure, but United it doesn't. So unfortunately, I think it'll be more down to City's feelings if United do finish. Certainly they could, yeah. But I have my doubts.
But of course, it all starts, Mark, with a win tomorrow. How confident are you of that, Mark? Do you think we can do it?
Well, we've seen how we played this week. I honestly can't answer that with any conviction. You know me, I'm always positive, and I always feel, you know, it's a new day. We'll hopefully come out of the traps and play well. But I'd like to think so. As I said to you a couple of times already, I really feel that if we have any opportunity, we have it now. I think what frustrates me at the moment, more than anything, on the back of what Phil said, I absolutely agree with you. I think that you know, we're 1 point above, or whatever it is. We're a game in hand, and Ollie gets so much stick for this. Listen, I'm not Ollie in and I'm not Ollie out. Okay? I'm very much in the middle. And Pep, he just goes along very silently, not getting any criticism at all. But actually, they're probably in a worse position. I know they got through in the Champions League or whatever, but they're in a lot worse position than us. I feel that there's a lot of unrest there. I feel that there's, you know, he's just signed a 2-year contract. There was a lot of talk about him going to Juve. I feel this is what my frustration is with a lot of Man United fans and Ollie, because I feel that we're probably in a little bit of a better position. You know, we're above them. For me, do I think we can finish above them? As I said, I agree with Phil. I think that City will probably build up a run of form, and they will get something going at some point. And I think it will probably be down to their downfalls as opposed to ours. We are at the moment, unfortunately, consistently inconsistent, and you just don't know what you're going to get. So we'll see tomorrow. We'll see tomorrow. That's all I can say. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't tell you.
It's one of those, isn't it?
But you just, I feel like sometimes I'm really confident about games and then they play awful, and I'm sometimes not very confident and then they play great, and I can't ever get in between.
I would not be surprised tomorrow if we blow City away or they blow us away. Like, literally, I would not be surprised if either or happens. I really wouldn't. All I would say is we know the quality that City have, and then we also know what can happen if Bruno Fernandes can orchestrate how we know he can. Then it's a completely different game. And again, we're so reliant on Bruno Fernandes that it's quite tough. But that's what happens when you have a world-class player in your team.
On the flip side, you know, we have got a very good squad, and on our day, every player, if they're on song, we can be absolutely brilliant. So if that happens, which is not at the moment, then we could blow them away too. So we'll have to see at 5:30 tomorrow.
Well, look, we put a lot of positivity into our preview show. You can go and check that out now ahead of kickoff tomorrow if you want to. Loads of you commenting on that, so get involved with that. It's over on our channel. Also on our channel right now, you can go and check out the streams are set up for you to set reminders to our match reaction shows. Win, lose or draw, we'll be here with you airing your thoughts on the games. So make sure you go and set those reminders. youtube.com/allforunited. Hit subscribe as well. And whilst you're here, hit a like on the video, because this show only gets better from this moment on. It's the ultimate Manchester United fan quiz hosted by our second favourite Irishman.
I'm glad you said that.
Joe.
Phil's hosting this quiz, and he said that he's put a quiz together.
I don't know who his first was, man. I'm not jumping to conclusions. So.
I'm just going to sit on the fence like Barry's just pointed out Marcus. So I'm just going to sit on the fence. And Joe, let's go over to you. What's the theme today, by the way?
The theme for today's quiz is Manchester derbies.
Who is your first, by the way, Ben? Jack Grealish?
I quite like Declan Rice. He's Irish.
Phil!
Oh, sorry, man.
He was for a long weekend.
Manchester Derbies. Okay, Mark and Phil, we're going to trust that you don't have the live chat open because we know you're sound people and we'll take your word on that. So hopefully you can't see anything other than our faces and potentially the private chat. Guys, if you're watching right now, you can get involved with a quiz in the live chat. Let's see how many you can get right on this Friday night. Let's have some fun. Joe, I'll hand over to you, mate.
Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First question. Name the 3 players who played for one of the Manchester teams but managed the other.
Who played for one of the Manchester teams that managed the other? Matt Busby.
Yeah.
Played for City and managed United. Mark Hughes.
Yeah. And there's one more.
Who's the other one? Can't think of the other one.
Did he have to get just one or all of them?
All 3 of them.
All 3 of them. Okay, so we've got who?
This is going to be a very tough quiz, isn't it? If Phil can't get it, there's no chance.
Don't trust me, man. My drug-addled brain is barely reminded. I'm usually higher than Angeli's eyebrows most days, so don't be trusting me. Sorry, lads.
One more. I'm trying to think of that other one. Mark, can you think of an extra one? I don't know if Phil's giving up there.
I only had Mark Hughes. That was it.
Okay, so Phil's given up, and you guys can't get it. The last person is Steve Coppell.
Oh, Steve Coppell.
Yeah,
it's always funny how always funny how you get it after I tell you the answer.
Well, wait a second.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
Harry's pointed out Giggs. Didn't Giggs play for City at youth level?
He did.
Oh, fuck
he didn't
off,
manage.
Barry. Yeah. Barry, we don't need this, okay? We don't need your skullduggery right now. Moving on to Mark. How you feeling, Mark?
He's just finished his drink. He's trying to find something.
The performance enhancer.
I'm loving the shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
And the hair.
Especially
Mark?
for you. But go on.
Yeah. The number 1 Irishman. Yeah. Fuck off. You're not getting easier.
Number 2, I heard. But anyway.
Number 3 after Grealish, apparently. Mark, name the 3 most recent players who played for Manchester United before joining City.
Peter Schmeichel.
Wrong. You're out now, straight away. Yeah.
Well,
Give one more shot.
Okay, go on. I'll give you one more shot. Just let me know when you're confirming. We'll put that down too.
All right. So say the question again.
Name the 3 most recent players who played for Manchester United before joining City.
Oh, okay. Well, Ryan Giggs.
Played for United before joining City. Giggs.
Yeah,
he was at youth level. Yeah, we just said that.
No, played for Manchester United and then
joined City.
Oh, all right. Sorry. All right, let me have a look.
I can think one. I can think of one straight away.
Tevez. Yeah, Tevez.
Yeah. Cool.
And Peter Schmeichel's not.
No, not Schmeichel. There's
I can't think of any more, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna. Oh, Owen Hargreaves. Yeah.
Helping.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hargreaves.
There's one more.
I have no idea.
cool.
Didn't he just say Tevez?
No, there's 3.
Yeah, Tevez, Hargreaves, and who's the other one he said? I thought he said
Schmeichel, I said.
Schmeichel. Yeah, what's wrong with Schmeichel?
Yeah. It's the wrong answer. Is the main.
It's
thing.
the most recent.
The most recent. That's right. Yeah. Most recent.
I'm trying to think. I can see him now, but I can't. I can actually badly enough see him in a City shirt, not in a United shirt now, and I can't.
Let me know when you're giving up.
Well, I'm not taking part.
I know, not you, Ben. Never you, Ben.
I can't think of the third.
Oh my God, who's the third?
Mr. Andrew Cole.
Oh, of course.
He played for City.
Yeah, and you know he had a good record. He scored 9 goals in 22 games. I presumed he was a complete flop. Cool. Moving on to Phil. 0-0 so far. Phil, as you well know,
just so you know, I failed PE in school, so
it shows.
Sorry, go ahead.
Phil, Wayne Rooney has scored the most Premier League goals against City for Manchester United. Who has scored the second most
Against City?
Against City for Man United in the Premier League only. If you're just saying names, just say a name and then confirm it afterwards, so we can.
Giggs.
Are you confirming that?
Yeah, I'll go with Giggs.
Do you guys want to have a stab at it as well, or do you think Giggs is the right answer?
Van Nistelrooy.
Oh, Van Nistelrooy's a shout. Go on, Mark. Have you got a guess?
Yeah, I have. You
Go
first.
I have no idea.
I'm going to say Ronaldo.
Oh, that's a good shout.
He did score quite a few. Whether it's the second most, I have no idea.
Well, I'll let you know. Rooney has 11, and the second most in the Premier League is Eric Cantona with 8.
Why did
That's who I was going to say.
Sure, Ben.
Yeah.
It's always that, isn't it? It's always that. Yeah, so close. Mark, to take a spectacular 1-0 lead. Who is the most recent player to score for Manchester United against City in Wembley?
Oh, I know that.
I can picture it, but I can't think. Hang on.
Oh, we're hanging on.
I can't stay up here this much longer, mate. I can't hold my own weight very well.
Should do more pull-ups.
VAR saying he's Googling. For saying like.
I'm nowhere near Google.
Sure.
Honestly, I can't think right now.
Say a name.
No,
Nice.
I've got nothing.
Has to be Nanny. It was Nanny, wasn't it? The dink.
Yeah, it was Nanny.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So Ben's
In
not
the
taking
Community
part.
Shield.
21-0. Yeah, the Community Shield. 93rd minute of extra time.
Just to rub it in, Barry straight in with Nanny. Jacob straight in with Nanny or Hernandez. Yeah, it was Nanny. Fantastic goal that as well. Fantastic.
Oh, it was beautiful.
It was good. And Cleverly was great at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Phil Jones was Duncan Edwards, if we all remember right back then.
Oh, okay. Don't make it. Okay, this for the final round, and if neither of you get this right, or if you both get it right, which I'm sure won't happen, it goes to a tiebreaker. But Phil, the answer to this is either City or United. Who has scored more goals in the old First Division? Manchester City against each other. Sorry, in head-to-heads in the games. The answer is either City or United. So you don't have to ponder too much.
What was the question again without you cocking it up?
Scored more goals in
between the two of them against each other head-to-head, in the old First Division.
United.
You're saying United?
You should ask me something a bit more. It's my field, what chemicals you like to get high and stuff. Things like that.
It's always the quiz master's fault, isn't it? If you got them all right, I'd be a god, wouldn't I?
When it's you, Joe, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to be United or City, one of the two.
You have to say one of them. You have to say one of them. Just say one of the teams, Phil.
I just did United. If it's not
United,
City.
Okay, so you're going with United, and you're wrong. City scored 147 goals, and United scored 141. So, Mark, to see this one out, can you set the 1-0 victory? Who has more wins head-to-head in the old second division? City or United?
I'm going to say United again, just because he got that one wrong. So United for me.
Thanks, man.
So you're going to stick with United?
Always.
And it's correct. We have a winner. 1-0. Terrible game.
Definitely.
It was
Don't
6
worry,
wins
Phil.
to 2. It was 6.
Phil, don't worry. Barry's got your back. The quiz master is brutal.
He is brutal. He is brutal.
Joe, if Phil never wants to come on because of you again now, seriously, I'm dropping you and I'm replacing you with Mark.
Then it's just going to be, who's our favorite Irishman? Oh, Phil is the answer.
No.
We don't even have to ask a question. You just answered it for us. So.
Yeah. Well, it goes Phil, Grealish, Declan Rice, and then you're somewhere else.
Oh my God!
Roy Keane,
Will Keane.
Are you confident, Ben, that United will beat City tomorrow?
Thank you guys for watching. Do you know what? I'm so excited for the game tomorrow. My biggest concern isn't about whether we can beat City tomorrow. It's about I just don't know what team we're going to see tomorrow. That's my biggest concern right now. At the moment, I'm actually not worried so much about the game. I'm worried for the hour before the game when that team news comes out and we see how we're going to be set up. I think after that, it's just going to be like, come on, lads, let's do this. And the confidence and the positivity.
Saying that, I've been quite pleased with the formations in the last couple of games, and that's not seen us out very well. So,
but for me, he's toying too much. He's changing things around way too much, and he just doesn't need to. And sometimes it feels like he isn't playing the opposition. He's playing what he feels is going to be best to save certain elements of his team. For instance, the 5 at the back for, to save his defence. When really what we should have done is gone hammer and tongue at Leipzig, because when we did start going at them, they looked freaking vulnerable. And I know everything's okay in hindsight, but he just needs to trust his team, I feel like, a little bit more. And that's my worry. If we're going to play Van der Beek in that midfield with a Fred and McTominay, and we're going to see him go back to this 4-2-3-1, which he seems to favour, I'm pretty confident. I think we can get a win tomorrow. But if I see him play a 3 at the back or go completely defensive, I'll worry for us tomorrow.
Confidence comes from a place of trust, though, doesn't it? And it's hard to trust United at the minute because, like we say, we don't know what United team you're going to get. And quite frankly, I would have more confidence and trust lending Cliff Richard my laptop than having United.
Wow. Right. Wow. Do you know what I am confident of, though, Phil? He's an AJ knockout inside 4 rounds.
Who, AJ and Pulev?
Yeah, AJ inside 4.
Knocked Pulev when he was, 32 in his prime? So,
he didn't fight Pulev, did he?
Klitschko knocked him out.
Oh, Klitschko, sorry, yeah. Yeah, but then Pulev's been out the ring. We can talk about this off air, but Pulev's been out the ring now for 2 years.
He fought here in Costa Mesa, just over a year ago, because he got in trouble
a year ago.
That interview with that girl. Remember, he talked about her.
Of course, yeah. He grabbed hold of her or something, didn't he? Oh yeah, of course. I completely forgot about that. I don't know.
But AJ should beat him, and he's top heavyweight, and then hopefully get this Tyson Fury fit next year and stop boxing about.
I'm hoping AJ knockout blow and a Manchester United knockout blow tomorrow, because that will be
February. So
you give out to me for talking about Stephen Kenny's Ireland on an actual football show. So, and you're going on about boxing. I'm just saying, all right, okay,
mate. This is
I'm going to be in London in February. So I'm going to be in London in February. So I'll probably see if we'll see what happens if we can get fans inside Old Trafford. So I'll go up to the United game. I'm going to go watch Carl Frampton's fight in February.
Well, I'm going to say, if that's the case, Phil, the beers are on you. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to leave that one with you. The beers are on you.
I've been in 20s for the last 2 weeks, so I love plenty of cash. What about that?
Phil, quick, let me spin that question back around to you quickly, because I know we've spoken about the game and we're digging into time now, but we spoke about where City. Are you confident of us getting a win tomorrow?
You can't be confident because, like we say, confidence comes from consistency. It comes from trust. With United, the Spurs thing happens too often. The Istanbul thing happens too often. What we saw against Leipzig happens too often. So with United, you can't trust them yet. So nothing surprises me. If United go out and win the game, wouldn't surprise me. If they went out and lost it like Spurs, that wouldn't surprise me.
Totally agree.
Possible, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. So I don't have confidence. You like to believe you get a reaction, but from going out, but why would we get a reaction? We should have got a reaction after 10 minutes, not in the next game. It's obvious. We put it right there, not in the next game. So to me, I think that the character that was missing in the first half an hour of that game at Leipzig is the part that concerns me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mark, confident?
Not really. but well, they haven't got Aguero, have they? So
I think they have.
Well, Guardiola said he won't start.
I'm not sure he's starting. Yeah, I think Pep said that.
But what an option to have off the bench, though. Like, still, like, even against Marseille, he done it. Came on, got a goal, didn't he? A nice goal. And for me, it's still a problem point. He can put more minutes in at least.
I'm gonna go against the grain and say confidently that we will win tomorrow.
Good,
so you can hold me to that. You can hold me to that.
It's usually Joe who talks shit on this show. So it's nice to hear it from someone wise.
Over to the new co-host.
And it's still Joe. So
and it is, so we'll keep it there. Joe, go on, are you confident? Quickly.
No. That's just it. I'm not
that's
at all.
it.
I'm terrible.
Talking shit.
I'm sorry about my internet problems. It's been a right shitter for me, but still, it doesn't matter. We got through the show. It was a brilliant show as well. Phil and Mark, thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been really on Friday night.
All the welcome. Thanks for having me on.
We'll have to get the rematch sorted for the new year, 100%. Joe, thank you as always. We're all for United. Hit that subscribe button. As I said, loads of match reaction content tomorrow. We've got the match reaction show, which is interactive. It's all about your thoughts, win, lose, or draw straight after the Manchester derby. And then straight after that, obviously, Karthik will be back with the player rating show as well. Mark, I think you're getting involved tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm doing the review afterwards, but I'm not doing the match rating tomorrow. But cool. I'll be there.
You'll be there. So join Mark, join Karthik and the other lads as well who are getting involved with the shows straight after the game tomorrow. Win, lose or draw. One thing we will say is come on United. Of course, the fans can't be there tomorrow, but of course we're going to be cheering them on from home. And of course, we're going to be supporting the team no matter what dodgy formation and team gets put out. We're still going for it. Come on, lads, let's do it. And let's watch Pep Guardiola cry and Ollie give him a little tap on the head at full time. Come on, United, let's get that win. Hit that subscribe button, hit a like on this video. We'll be back soon. Speak to you guys later. Have a good Friday night.
Cheers.